Yesterday it was our first session. So I think Shivam, you are there, yes?
Yes,
Because
sir.
it is your first class. So you want me to revise that yesterday's class, or you want me to proceed with the next day topic, especially Sachin. So yesterday I gave them the brief idea about what are the topics which we are going to cover in this course, Linux administration, which is about 32 to 34 days. And I explained what is Linux. So if it is okay, you want me to revise means I'll revise. No, we can proceed with the next day topic because that yesterday's session will be available as a recording or in our YouTube channel also you can see that. So please Sachin, tell me something. Shivam yesterday attended and for you it is,
Yeah, I can check with her demo videos. Yeah.
so you want me to proceed with the next?
Yes.
Okay. So let's start the today's session. So yesterday we discussed what is Linux. Linux is an open source operating system. Linux is an What is Linux means? Linux is an open source operating system. So without any OS, can we use the computer? Yesterday we discussed that. No. So we have to use some or the other OS. We have to use some or the other OS to operate the computer. So the most commonly used operating system in the world is Windows. But Windows is most commonly used on the server, on the client side or for the home purpose. And especially on the servers, you will find most of the companies prefer to use what? Linux because of its extra security. You can say extra features like good security, better stability, better, you can say performance, faster performance, and the structure, the architecture of the Linux OS is much better because Windows OS can be installed on single partition that is in C drive. So if the OS in the Windows OS, if one of the OS folder get corrupted, entire OS will be affected. But in Linux, that will not happen because Linux OS can be installed on multiple partition. So that we will see in few days time installation. So yesterday we discussed when we use the Linux OS, the Linux OS is logically divided into two levels. Level one is the shell. So whenever we want to apply any command, we need to open the terminal. So whenever we open the terminal, what is the default shell we are using? /bin/bash. So what it will do, let us try to understand. So in Windows, we have two types of OS. They are client OS and server OS. So as the name indicate, client OS will be used by the employees or the user. That's why it is called client OS. So client OS will be used by the clients or the you can say employees to access the services, whereas the server OS will be used by the administrator to configure the server which can provide services to the users. So in most of the people in the world are using Windows, especially for client purpose, because it is easy to operate. But most of the servers in the world are working on Linux. So this course is about Linux. So why the companies or people prefer Linux? Because of its certain features or advantage. So first of all, what is Linux? Linux is an open source operating system. So I repeat, Linux. What is Linux? Linux is an OS. Which type of OS? The main feature in Linux is it is an open source operating system. What is meant by open source? We'll discuss after a few minutes. So yesterday we discussed what is OS. OS means operating system. It's a physical or logical thing. Any operating system, whether it is Windows, Mac, Linux, Unix, any OS, it's a logical thing. So any operating system is a collection of program. So as for the Linux, this collection of program is divided into two levels. One level is called shell The other level is called the kernel. So the main part of the Linux OS is the this Linux OS is divided logically. The complete Linux OS divided into logical into two level one shell, level two Linux kernel. So who designed this Linux OS? Like Windows OS is designed by Bill Gates using DOS. So same way Linux is designed by Linus Torvald. So this is the name of the person. Linus Torvald is a person from Finland country who designed Linux OS by using Unix. So please remember, Unix is an first major operating system which is designed by AT&T company, American Telephone and Telegraphs. So the specialty, the feature in Unix was very good security. And the drawback in the Unix is it is a command-based operating system, no graphical interface. And in that, the Unix OS has been made hardware dependent, means if you want to install Unix, some flavors like Solaris that can be installed on Sun machines only. So this is designed by Unix is designed by AT&T company. So they made these OS as hardware dependent. Hardware dependent means so the Unix OS is designed by AT&T and they release their Unix OS with what name sys3, sys5, which can be installed only on AT&T machine. By that, they earn a lot of money. By seeing this, other bigger companies like Sun company designed Solaris. Now some company is taken over by the Oracle. So IBM company released AIX. HP company released HPUX. So these are all Unix OS. So if you want, so the one of the drawback in the Unix is there is no graphical interface, only commands. And second problem in Unix is a hardware dependent OS, means if I want to install Solaris, so to install the Solaris, I required only Sun machines. Same way, if I want to install AIX, I should require the hardware of the IBM. If I want to install HPUX, I need HP machine. So if I got one new project, in that I'm already suppose using AIX, using IBM company. Now I got one new project example. So for that new project, I required HPUX OS. So can I install HPUX on the IBM machine? No. So you have to completely replace the new hardware. Now you have to purchase in place of IBM machine HP. So which will be very, very expensive affair. Yes, just to change the OS, you have to change the hardware. If it is not one machine, all machine means very, very expensive affair. No company prefer to use that. Okay, that is the drawback of Unix. So using the Unix, Linux is been designed by Linus Torvald of Finland country. So remember this, Linux OS is designed by Linus Torvald of Finland country using Unix. So please remember, Unix is designed using Linux by Linus Torvald. Same way, Windows OS is designed by Microsoft company under Bill Gates. So Windows is designed using the DOS. Linux is designed using the Unix. So both the gentlemen who designed Windows OS, Bill Gates, and who designed Linux OS, Linus Torvald, both are alive because when they released these OS, they were very young age. So maybe the Bill Gates is more famous compared to Linus Torvald. Okay. So what this person Linus Torvald did, he took the source code of using the Unix, he designed one new OS which is called Linux. So Linux is designed by Linus Torvald. So in Linux, this Linus Torvald introduced what? Graphical interface, which was not there in the Unix. So Linux is designed by Linus Torvald using Unix. So in the Linux, what this Linus Torvald did, he made the Linux as first of all hardware independent, means Like Windows, Linux can be installed now on any hardware machine. It doesn't require any specific hardware, which was case with the Unix. Then after that, uh, what the Linus Torvalds did, he designed this Linux OS as a hardware independent, same like Windows, which can be installed on any machine without using any specific hardware. So that is the first thing. Then second thing, introducing Linux is he made this Linux OS is what? Hardware independent, first thing. Second, he made this Linux OS with what? Graphical interface also, text mode also. In Unix, we can use only text mode, no graphical interface. But Linux has been designed by Linus Torvalds, which can work on graphical mode also, text mode also, both. So please remember, Linux is designed using Unix. What is Unix? Unix is an hardware-dependent OS, which is designed with good security, and it works only on text mode, no graphical interface. So the Unix OS was very, in this, Solaris became very popular. So one of the main feature in that is virus cannot enter because we work with the text mode, and it will not get to crash or hang normally. The Unix OS, because they have very good security. So that same security has been carried forward in Linux by Linus Torvalds while designing the Linux OS. So now come to what is meant by open source. So open source means whenever whoever design any OS, I repeat, whenever or whoever design any new OS, they have to write some coding and program. So whoever design any new OS, they have to write the coding and the program. So that coding and program generally is called as source code. So whoever design any new OS, they need to write certain programs, which is called source code. And normally that source code they will not show to the others. But the gentleman, Linus Torvalds, after writing the source code or after writing the coding and the program to design Linux OS, whatever coding and program he has written to design the Linux OS, he put it over the internet, which anybody can access and modify, which cannot be done in any other OS. That's why Linux is called as open source operating system. So I repeat, Linux is called open source operating system because in Linux, whatever coding and program written by Linus Torvalds to design Linux OS, he put the complete coding and program, whatever he has written to design Linux OS, he put it over the internet, which anybody not only can access but can modify, because he put it with the privilege of read-write, so that any user can access the source code of the Linux, which is designed by Linus Torvalds. And using that source code, they can add some features and they can have their own OS with their own name and their logo. So that's why Linux is called open source operating system. So I repeat once again, open source means the source code of the Linux kernel, which is designed by Linus Torvalds. So whatever coding and program Linus Torvalds has done to design Linux OS, he put it on Linux kernel, he put it over the internet, which anybody can access and modify. So that's why Linux is called as open source operating system. So I hope you are understanding. Is it clear? Yes. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Shivam,
Yes, sir.
Chandrasekhar, Sachin. Okay.
Yes, yes.
So now,
Yes, sir. Clear, sir.
okay. So now, whenever, see here. So the Linus Torvalds designed Linux OS by using Unix. So whatever coding and program he has written to design Linux OS, he put it over the internet, which anybody can access and modify. That's why you have so many flavors in Linux, like Red Hat, CentOS, Ubuntu, Kali Linux, SUSE, Debian, Turbo Linux, one Indian named Boss, Bharat Operating System Solution. So, do you have such feature in any other OS? Do you have different flavors? You may have version, but not flavors in any OS. So one of the main feature in Linux is a open source operating system. Open source means the source code of the Linux kernel, which is the main part of the Linux OS, which is designed by Linus Torvald. So whatever coding and programming Linus Torvald written to design Linux kernel, he put it over the internet, which anybody can modify and modify. They can take that source code and they can add something to it. Then by adding or modifying it, you can have our own OS with our own label. So that's why you have so many distributed subflavor in Linux. So the most commonly used here is Red Hat. So Red Hat equivalent is what? CentOS. Red Hat is a company now which is taken over by the IBM. Now Red Hat is releasing their OS under IBM company management. So here Red Hat releases their OS in two categories, Fedora series for home purpose and for server enterprise level, they are releasing what? RHL. RHL stands for Red Hat Enterprise Linux. So the most commonly used version in the RHL is RHL 7. So if you work on RHL 7, you can work on 8 or 9 also. Latest one is 9. So now the IBM is taken over the Red Hat company. So still the Red Hat OS is free. But if you want to use the Red Hat OS, you have to uh, make your account, then you can download. It will ask so many details. And if you want to get the update from the Red Hat, they will charge you. The charges are less compared to Windows. So some people who are working like a Linux expert, they form one association with the name CentOS. So here, what the CentOS stands for? Community. C means community. ENT means enterprise. Enterprise Linux is, or enterprise means here, server OS. So RHL is a server OS. So RHL equivalent we have what? CentOS. So RHL stands for Red Hat Enterprise Linux, whereas CentOS stands for C means community, ENT means enterprise, OS means OS. So some people who are working like a Linux expert, I repeat, some people who are working like a Linux expert in various companies, they form an association with the name CentOS with a aim to spread the Linux. Their intention is not to do any business. Their intention is to spread the Linux. So they held a talk with the Red Hat and they convinced them their intention is to spread the Linux, not to do any business. So Red Hat people, what they have done, they are giving the source code to the CentOS. So whatever you have feature in RHL, same features will be there in CentOS. Only difference between the RHL and CentOS is the command, interface, installation, everything will be same. Only difference will be the RHL will provide the support, but that they will charge you. But CentOS is completely free, no charges. But CentOS is free, but indeed there is no support. That is the only difference between Red Hat and CentOS. So like that you have Ubuntu, Kali Linux, SUSE, Debian. So now one commonly asked question is, if I learn one flavor like Red Hat, can I able to work on other flavor like SUSE, Debian, Kali? So the answer for that is one person cannot learn all the flavors. So in all these flavors, the common thing is all of their structure and architecture will be same, designed by the Linus Torvald. The architecture and structure in all these flavors will be similar because all these are being designed using the Linux kernel, which is designed by Linus Torvald. So So now, if you understand one flavor, you can easily learn, you can easily work on other flavor. Because as a human, it is not possible to learn all flavor because it keeps on changing. It keeps on arriving new, because Linux is an open source. Linux is an open source operating system. So open source means I told you the source code of the Linux kernel, which is designed by Linus Torvald. He himself put the complete coding and program over the internet, which anybody can access and modify. So you can take that source code, but you have to do some changes. You have to add some additional things. Then you can have your own OS with your own name and logo. So if you learn one flavor, you can easily work on other flavor. Why? Because the architecture will be similar. All this is designed using the same Linux kernel, which is designed by Linus Torvald. Okay. So if you learn one flavor, you don't have to learn all flavor. If you are good with one flavor, you can work on any flavor because the architecture structure will be same. So some of the command will be same. Some command may be different. So for that, if you know in one particular flavor for one particular task, one command, that command, if you give in other flavor, it's not supporting, means what the people are doing, just they'll Google it, equivalent command. They'll write it. So this is how they are working on Linux. Okay. So we are going to install Linux OS using the CentOS, which is exactly same like Red Hat. Remember, RHA. So this is structure of Linux OS. So this complete Linux OS is divided logically into two levels, shell and kernel. So the first part is what? Shell. So in the Windows, the shell is not there, but in Linux, it will be there. So what is a shell? It is the interface between the kernel and the user. So what is the role of the shell? What it will do? Yesterday, I told you. First thing, once you open the terminal and write the command, first thing the shell will do, it will check the command is correct or not. So whatever predefined commands are given by the vendor, in that it will check. So if the command is a new command, so now here, or if you are given some wrong command, so will the shell will accept that? No, it will write immediately, command not found. So the shell is the first level, first layer where it will check the command is correct or not with the predefined command. If it is correct, what it will do? It will next identify whether this user have the privilege to execute that or what. So first the command will check up correct or not, it will check. If it is correct, then it will check whether that user have the privilege or not. Because most of the command users cannot run. Only few command they can run. So now the shell will check if the command is correct. If that command is given by the root user, who is root administrator or normal user. So if it is a normal user, then that normal user have the privilege or not, it will check. If it doesn't have the privilege, it will show like access denied, permission denied, like. Now, what is the default shell we are using in Linux? /bin/bash. So what is the role of the shell, which is the first level of the Linux OS? It will check the command is correct or not. If it is correct, then it will check the user have that privilege or permission to execute that command. If it is there, then once the command is correct and that user who has given that command have the privilege, then what the shell will do, it will convert that command, which is in the binary language to, it will convert that binary language to binary. Sorry, it will convert the command, which is in high level language. So it will convert that into binary. Then it will send to the kernel. Now kernel takes over. Now the kernel is the interface between shell and hardware. Kernel is called the core or the brain of the Linux OS. So like in our body, brain will decide which particular part of the body which should do what work in which scenario. The same way, the kernel, which is called the core or brain of the Linux OS, once the task or the command comes to it, then it will control and manage and it will execute the task with the It will send the task to the required hardware. It will convert that task from the high level to binary. Now the shell will convert that task or the command from high level to binary. It comes to the kernel. Now kernel is the core or brain of Linux OS. Now the kernel will check. Kernel will check now the task which is given by the shell. Now the task should be completed by the computer. So it will send it like in our body. Our kernel will decide which task should be done by which part of the body. So same way here, now the kernel, which is called core or brain of the Linux OS, now it will send that input, which is in binary, to the main part of the OS. That is the main part of the Linux OS is kernel. Kernel will send the task to the our processor. Now processor will do the task. Now output will be in binary format. So once the task is completed, now output will be in binary format. So can the user understand that? No. So what the kernel will do once the output is done, it will send that output. It will send that output, which is in binary format, to the shell. Now the shell, when the output comes in binary format, so it will convert that into. Now shell will receive the output which is in binary format. So it will convert that output from binary to high level line and displays the output. So this is how what happens when we use the Linux OS. So in other OS you don't have the shell. So shell is a security level. So which will allow only known commands to run, not unknown program. So in this virus cannot enter and it has a very good security. So in Windows you have only kernel but no shell. So in Windows, the files are identified with the extension like .exe means executable file, .dat means database file, .mp3 means media file, .batch means batch file. So in Linux, the files are identified not by extension. Here in Linux, in Windows, files are identified by extension, whereas in Linux, files are identified by type of file and mode of permission. So Linux OS is identified by type of file and mode of permission. Type of file here how with some alphabet or symbol, not the extension. So in Linux, the files are identified by symbol and alphabet, not by extension. Remember. So for normal file, first character will be hyphen. For hidden file, first character dot. For block file, first character B. For link file, first letter L. Socket means S. Directory means first letter D. File, which will combine the two tasks. So here, in Linux, the files are identified with symbol and alphabet. Now more, see here. So mode of permission. So normally in Windows, if you create a file, it will have on the file execute permission. But in Linux, if you create a file as any user, for any user, by any user, for any user, the file in Linux will be created without execute permission. So file will be created without execute permission. So Linux OS is more secure than Windows. Why? Because the architecture level, we have security. At the architecture level, we have security in the form of shell. And at the OS level, the security is mode of permission. Okay. So in Linux, file will have no execute permission. So if it is a virus file, somebody send it, user knowingly or unknowingly try to execute, it will not. But in Linux, it can be executed. Sorry, in Windows, it can be executed. In Linux, the file will not be executed. So that's why it is more secure. So Linux is more secure because the architecture level, we have security in the form of shell. And OS level, we have mode of permission. So the course which we are discussing is a foundation course, not only to work like a Linux system administrator, but it is a foundation course for your higher courses like AWS, DevOps, VMware admin, Oracle, Hadoop, SAP, like this. So yesterday I went through the days, these topics. So this Linux course is divided into two parts, standalone network admin. So we are going with what? Introduction. So just now I have explained the introduction of Linux. Tomorrow we'll continue with the structure of Linux source, then installation, then basic commands. After that, soft link and hard link, then booting process with run level, user administration group. Three types of permission: basic file permission, ACL, and advanced file permission. Again, three types in advanced file permission: set UID, set KID, sticky bit. Then swap management, which will improve the system performance. How we'll see all these things. How to create partition. Then to combine the partition or multiple hard disks to implement the LVM through which we can increase the partition. If we take multiple partition or multiple hard disks combined into a single storage space through which we can do the resizing in LVM. So that also we'll see. Then red level, software red level, how to configure red level 5. Then backup using dump, tar, CPIO. Then scheduling of job using ATN cron tab. Then process management using PS and top command. And then after that, scheduling of job using ATN cron tab. Then network admin part, how to install the application using RPM and YAML. Then for sharing, how to configure FTP server, NFS, Samba server. What is the difference? With FTP, we can share files, but not directory on any OS. With NFS, we can share both files and directory, but Linux to Linux only, not with Windows. So for sharing from Linux to Windows, Windows to Linux, Samba server. Then to resolve name into IP, IP to name, DNS. Then hosting of the website to Apache web server and accessing with name using DNS. Then how to configure DHCP server through which IP can be assigned to client. So this is our total course content, which will be about 32 to 34 days. So tomorrow we will continue with what? The structure of Linux OS, where exactly what data will be stored. Okay. So this will be tomorrow's session. So before I close the session, if you have any question, any doubt, please ask.
Yes, sir, can I ask her now?
Yes.
Yes, sir, you said using FTP, we cannot share any folders,
Yes,
only
direct
files you said.
files. If you compress
sir.
the file with a compressing tool like OneZip, you can share. Yes. But
Yes, sir, but
directly,
but in Windows FTP server, we can share both files and folders
yes,
also, no, sir?
but in Linux it doesn't allow.
Does not allow.
Yes.
Only using zip it is possible to share folders.
Yes, yes.
Okay, fine. Thank you, sir. Right.
Okay, so that's bring to end of our today's session. We'll continue tomorrow. So that's it for today. Thank you, everyone. Good night. See you tomorrow.
Good night, sir. Bye bye.